MonniRS stared at his computer screen, a look of mock despair on his face. The RuneScape servers were down. Again. "This is a travesty," he announced dramatically to his Twitch chat, his voice echoing slightly in his small flat in Pupuhuta, Finland. His viewers, a loyal bunch who found his misfortune endlessly entertaining, responded with a flurry of laughing emotes and sympathetic messages. Moni drummed his fingers on his desk, his mind a-whirl with boredom. "Right, lads," he declared. "I need a new adventure. Something geographical." The chat, always up for a laugh, went wild. Suggestions poured in, ranging from the sensible to the utterly absurd. Someone mentioned GeoGuessr, a game where players are dropped into random locations on Google Street View and have to guess their whereabouts. Moni hesitated. Geography was not his strong suit. In fact, his knowledge of the world beyond his beloved Finland was, to put it kindly, limited. But the chat was insistent, and Moni, never one to back down from a challenge, especially one that promised comedic potential, finally caved. All right, he chuckled. "Let's do this. Let's see if MonniRS can conquer the world, or at least recognize a country or two." With a click and a whir, Moni launched GeoGuessr. The screen flickered to life, displaying a sunny, palm-fringed street. Moni squinted at the image, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Right," he muttered. "Where in the world are we?" The chat, sensing his confusion, erupted in a chorus of unhelpful suggestions. "It's obviously Australia," declared one viewer. "Nah mate, that's definitely Canada," countered another. Moni, ignoring the cacophony of voices in his ear, focused on the clues before him. He saw road signs in an unfamiliar language, cars with unfamiliar number plates, and architecture that looked, well, not very Finnish. He mused, could be tricky. But Moni was nothing if not optimistic. Taking a deep breath, he grabbed his mouse and confidently dropped a pin on the map. "Finland!" he declared, his voice a mix of bravado and uncertainty. The chat exploded. The GeoGuessr interface helpfully informed Moni that he was, in fact, not in Finland. Not even close. He was in South Africa, over 6,000 miles away from his beloved homeland. Moni stared at the screen, his jaw slack with disbelief. "South Africa?" he echoed, his voice a mix of astonishment and amusement. But the trees," he sputtered, gesturing wildly at the screen. "They look Finnish." The chat, of course, found this hilarious. "Those are African trees, mate," one viewer helpfully pointed out. "Maybe they have a Finnish exchange program for trees," suggested another, tongue firmly in cheek. Moni, shaking his head in amusement, had to admit defeat. He had a lot to learn about the world. But one thing was for sure, this GeoGuessr challenge was going to be a wild, geographically chaotic ride. The next round of GeoGuessr took Moni to a bustling city street. Skyscrapers towered overhead, neon signs buzzed with color, and the air crackled with a vibrant energy. Moni squinted at the street signs, trying to decipher the unfamiliar script. "Right," he muttered, "this looks complicated." The chat, as always, was full of helpful advice. "It's Tokyo for sure," declared one viewer with absolute certainty. Moni, swayed by their confidence, nodded slowly. "Tokyo it is," he announced, planting his pin firmly in the heart of Japan. But once again, GeoGuessr had other plans. The interface revealed that Moni was actually in Bangkok, Thailand, over 3,000 miles off course. "Bangkok?" Moni exclaimed, his voice a mixture of bewilderment and amusement. But the skyscrapers," he protested, as if modern architecture was a uniquely Japanese phenomenon. Section 5. A moment of triumph. Finland, at last. The third round of GeoGuessr brought a wave of excitement and a glimmer of hope to Moni's eyes. The screen displayed a scene that was strikingly, undeniably familiar. Tall, slender trees reached for the sky, their branches heavy with dark green needles. A dirt road snaked through the forest, disappearing into the distance. The air, or at least what Moni imagined the air to be like through the screen, seemed to hum with the quiet serenity of the Finnish wilderness. "This," Moni declared, his voice trembling with excitement, "this is definitely Finland." He didn't even bother to look for further clues. He didn't need to. This time, he just knew. With a triumphant flourish, he slammed his mouse button down, planting his pin directly in the heart of his homeland. And for the first time that evening, the GeoGuessr god smiled upon him. "Correct," the interface proclaimed, and the chat erupted in cheers. Section 6. Caribbean Dreams, Philippine Reality. But Moni's moment of geographical glory was short-lived. The final round of GeoGuessr proved to be his most disastrous yet. The screen displayed a tropical paradise. Palm trees swayed in the breeze, turquoise waters sparkled invitingly, and the air seemed thick with the scent of salt and sunshine. Moni, his confidence momentarily boosted by his previous victory, didn't hesitate. "The Caribbean," he declared, his voice filled with certainty. He could practically feel the warm sand between his toes, the tropical sun on his skin. He confidently placed his pin on a cluster of islands in the Caribbean Sea. The chat, caught up in his enthusiasm, cheered him on. "Go Moni!" they cried, but their cheers turned to groans as the GeoGuessr interface revealed the truth. Moni was not in the Caribbean. He was in the Philippines, over 6,000 miles away. "The Philippines?" he echoed, his voice laced with disbelief. But the palm trees, the beaches!" The chat, of course, found this hilarious. Moni leaned back in his chair, a wide grin spreading across his face. His GeoGuessr adventure had been a chaotic, hilarious disaster, just as he'd hoped. "Well, lads," he chuckled, "I think it's safe to say that geography is not my forte." He shook his head at himself, his eyes twinkling with amusement. "South Africa for Finland, Tokyo for Bangkok? I should probably invest in a globe," he joked, his laughter echoing through his small flat. Despite his less-than-stellar performance, Moni wasn't even slightly fazed by his geographical shortcomings. In fact, he seemed to revel in them. "At least I got Finland right," he pointed out with a mischievous glint in his eye. "Once a Finn, always a Finn, eh?" The chat, as always, was loving every minute of it. They bombarded him with laughing emojis, witty comments about his geographical misadventures, and words of encouragement. "Don't worry, Moni," one viewer wrote. "We knew you were geographically challenged from the start." "That's what makes it so entertaining," chimed in another. And they were right. Moni's complete lack of geographical awareness, combined with his infectious enthusiasm and his ability to laugh at himself, had transformed what could have been a dull gaming session into an evening of pure entertainment. It was more than just a game. It was a shared experience, a moment of connection and camaraderie between a streamer and his audience, united by laughter and a shared love of the absurd. "Right, lads," Moni announced, raising a mug of coffee to his webcam. "I think that's enough geographical chaos for one night." He took a sip, his eyes twinkling at the camera. "Thanks for joining me on this wild ride. It's been a blast." He leaned forward, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. "Who knows, maybe next time I'll even manage to tell the difference between Australia and Antarctica," he joked, winking at the camera, with a final wave and a heartfelt "Cheers, everyone!" Moni ended his stream, leaving his viewers with smiles on their faces and the echoes of laughter ringing in their ears. The RuneScape servers might have been down, but thanks to MonniRS and his unique brand of geographical chaos, the evening had been anything but boring.